Hello. Welcome to this week's Awakening Game. Our last awakening game, what is it? We were leaning into things, and even though we're asking, what is it? Even though we're leaning into those things with open curiosity, we weren't looking for an answer to the question, what is it? We're going to do something similar this week. This week's game is called Where Am I? And it's very similar, but slightly different. Very similar, but slightly different. So I'll try and explain this subtle difference. It's very similar to last week where we weren't looking for an answer. So for example, we're not looking for an answer like, where am I in the body? Where am I behind the eyes? Where am I in the foot, right? We're not looking for an answer, okay? So we're going to be asking the question, where am I? But we're not looking for an answer. However, this is the subtle difference, is that a realization could arise that is a true realization. And if that realization does arise, then of course you want to allow that. That realization will not be a specific answer. It would be more like realizing what you are, which is not the person, and realizing that you're everywhere that you're aware of. And that's all I'm going to say about that, because I don't want you trying to come up with an answer. What I really want you to do is play this game with the same attitude that you had with our last game, which was not looking for an answer. I just don't want you to shut out the realization if it starts to arise. But it's not specific. It's not a thought. But you may see. So here's how you play the game. Most people see themselves. Well, some people might see themselves as the entire body because they've never looked. They're just they think this body, right? But that usually occurs when people have never looked and tried to identify, where am I? Most people that look, there's two primary places where they seem to think they find themselves. One is, back here in the mind, usually behind the eyes somewhere, right? And then some people, maybe those who are more emotionally driven, tend to find themselves in the heart or in the chest area. And the ego identifies with this, and the ego really does think that's where I am. So when we play this game, where am I? What we're really doing is we're questioning that. There are several different approaches to this game. One could be, okay, so let's say I am here. Is that the only place that I am, right? Am I limited to this? Or am I here, but also other places too? Another kind of approach to the game could be questioning, am I really here? Now, that second approach, we've already played several weeks ago, but you could play it again. That second approach would be more like identifying, where does it feel like I'm centered? For me, it would be in the head, not the chest. Where does it feel like I'm centered? And then really abiding there, paying attention to that, feeling the sensations of that area, feeling the sense of I that seems to reside in that area. And after really looking at it, noticing if it has a shape, noticing exactly what it feels like, noticing that it feels like it's here, that it doesn't feel like it's, in the chin, for example. Then you ask, what sees this? And what you notice is, I see this, or if it's the chest, I see this, but where am I? Or sometimes it may even switch then to, what am I? So that's one method of playing the game. There's another method of playing the game as well. The other method is that you just become still. And you start noticing sensations in the body. For example, right now, I really feel one of my feet just kicked in with a lot of sensations. And you ask, where am I? And even though the belief may be that I'm here behind the eyes in the head, I also notice that I can feel those sensations in the foot from the inside. If I was just in the head, could I feel those sensations in the foot from the inside? In order for me to feel those from the inside, don't I need to be there also? And then maybe just notice that. Just ask those questions. Again, you don't need an answer. But then, when you feel like you've really explored that shift to another sensation. Like I can feel I have on yoga pants. I can feel my pants against my belly. So I feel the pants touching the belly. Now, if I was up here in the head, if I was limited to this, would I be able to feel these sensations around the waistband like I do? It's not like I'm looking at those sensations from the head, looking down on them. I feel them from the inside. So where am I? Again, you don't need an answer. You don't need an answer. Just keep asking the question. And at some point, it may dawn that you are everywhere that you are aware of. But don't try and make that happen. Just keep noticing the lack of logic in the idea that I could be here behind the eyes, or that I could be here in the chest. And somehow I'm limited to that. That's what I am, right? Because the ego wants me to see that as the me, the I. But if this is the I, then how can I be aware of something that's not here? You just keep noticing that's not logical. And if you really feel like this game is suiting you and you want to expand the game, you can expand it to sound. If you get very, very subtle, you'll notice that you not only hear sound, you actually feel sound. Sound registers in the nervous system, I suppose. But if you can feel sound, which happens outside the body, can you be limited to this behind the eyes or this in the chest? Maybe you're not a body at all. Maybe you're more like a wave. And the wave of sound can interact with your wave, and that's why you can feel it. Again, you're not looking for an answer, but I want to open up your imagination. Honey, I want to open up your imagination without having you look for an answer, but broaden maybe your limited ideas of yourself as you explore, where am I? So that's the game. You can play the first method, but the real focus is on this second method that I described, the noticing that I can't be limited to this because I'm also in the foot. I'm also in the waist. Somehow, I'm also in the sound, even if you can go that far. So that's the game. Have fun with it. And I will see you next week with a new awakening game. Bye.